Resume the recording.
Thank you, Leo. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our contributors meeting for this week. So let's see. First of all, thanks to Dan and Cody for being on triage this week. Do we have any volunteers for triage for next week?
I
I'll do
can go for
secondary.
secondary.
Sorry? Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
Two people wanted to go for secondary at the same time. So I don't know. You, Reggie, you pick me or Nitish for secondary.
Michael? Okay. Anyone wants any one of you wants stronger?
I can actually do primary again. I don't mind because I've been kind of out of the loop for a couple weeks.
Okay, Dan, thank you.
Yeah,
And then,
let me do secondary because I haven't done it in a while. So
yeah, I was gonna say I think Nadisha did it like 2 weeks ago. So,
yeah.
Oh, so thank you, Andre. Where are you? There you are. Okay, great.
by the way, remember these assignments don't preclude people from just participating. So if you have the desire and the will to continue to do it, then please do.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's see how our stats went this week. Actually, very good. We have for reviewers, we have Nitish and Ryan with a high number. And for mergers, we have Michael and Ryan. So thank you so much for this. And for Argo rollouts, Zach, thank you. So yeah, let's start with the things that arise from triage.
Okay,
Dan
so
and Cody.
I had two potential regressions in 214 that came up, and the first one is basically an issue related to Redis, um, where they were unable to upgrade the Redis server, and it was causing issues. Um, and I think it might have something to do with IPv6. I didn't look too deeply into the issue.
Though interesting, they say here that on with IPv6 disabled.
This seems to pop up like every few months because I think this is the first one, but there's another one after this that we also fixed um IPv6 issues with Redis.
I looked at this before the meeting and I see that for at least for this one, I think Dan, you stated that this was related, right? Or
I
you
wasn't sure if this one was related. It was just there was another regression report of high numbers of patch requests, and I thought it could be caused by Redis cache failures or something like that. So I thought it was possible they would be related, but and that there was a potential mechanism with Redis, but not sure if it actually is related. And
Oh,
then from that
interesting.
one, Blake linked to something that was already merged for 3.0, I think, that was a fix for timestamp on health status. So he thought that
oh,
could be something that would fix it anyway. But the Redis thing, I don't know. When I see Redis in two issues and they're both regressions, I think they could be related.
A quick question, by the way. So I see Redis 7.4. Did we update to 7.4 or are we still using 7.2? It's a bit unrelated to the discussion, I think, but it's just like 7.4 already uses like a different license.
Yeah.
So I think we shouldn't upgrade to that in like master.
I don't think that the license was incompatible, was the final takeaway on that decision. Like we could still ship
can you use
Redis
it?
as part of the home chart and use it.
Oh, okay.
Because Redis, like we don't actually use Redis in any of our code, right? Like we just include it in the Helm chart. And so even if it was like a license that modified the things around it, I don't think it actually would modify our license. And the license doesn't do that anyway. It just it restricts commercial blah blah blah. So it's not an issue for Argo CD. And there was some discussion about offering some documentation on how to use Valkey if people would prefer. But I don't think that documentation got put together.
Just a quick question. So, as a commercial company, people can still use Argo CD, can they? With like Redis 7.4.
Yeah, the license change for Redis. I mean, so for example, CodeFresh, we offer an enterprise version of Argo CD, and it didn't impact us.
Okay, okay.
So
Cool.
we're literally selling,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
our service, but it didn't
cool.
impact.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. Sorry for like distracting from this like regression. Just like wanted
No
to
worries.
check it.
So if I understand correctly, what was resolved, you mentioned the health timestamp, right?
Yes, there was a PR that was merged for 3.0 that included fix for timestamps. It was the one above that. It was the one that Blake links to.
Which one? Oh,
Uh,
here.
up, 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 up. That no, no. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so this one, I think, let's see.
The timestamp one shouldn't have an effect with
Yeah, I don't think so either.
dry run makes me think server-side diff. Did the user mention that they're using server-side diff?
Let's take a look at the issue again. I think that somewhere I saw that it was mentioned.
Yeah, it was there's another one of calculating destinations. I think that was the one on the very well, the other issue, I guess.
Yeah, this is the wrong.
It was really, okay,
I
so
don't think the Redis
Look at
this
it.
feels server-side diff.
That was on the
Because we rolled out server-side diff to some of our instances last week, and it was extremely slow, and we turned it back off. So it could be related to, and it also slowed down things like refreshes and syncs, which would track with this high patch volume.
And introduce weird diff to
Yeah, weird
oh,
diff
no,
stuff.
sorry, they're talking about server-side apply.
Yeah. They mean server-side diff there.
yeah. So look at 22.321 because I think that was the one where they were. And then at the bottom, I think there was a explanation of what was the issue.
Server-side diff globally enabled. Yeah.
running server side. Just,
Mm-hmm.
So is it a real problem that is currently happening, or this is something that was resolved?
It looks like it. I think what I can do is ask Peter, who's been working on server-side diff bugs recently, to run what 2.14.8, I think, was before the most recent changes. See if it has the same symptoms that we saw a couple days ago. And then if not, we know that the regression is likely related to those recent server-side diff changes. Just dig in.
So on the very bottom, there was a resolution for 3.0, I believe. There was a PR that addressed something. I think it's.
Do we know which PR is that?
I think there's up there at 21.189, possibly. $21,189.
Wait, give me a second. Yeah, just a second. Which one? 21?
189. They claim that there was a fix. pulls.
Pulls instead of PRs.
Well, no, pull singular, actually, yeah. Nothing else.
Let me just search it to 119.
Interestingly, both of these root issues were upgrades from 210 to 214, which is technically, I think, not like a
Oh, not a straightforward jump.
It's usually you're fine to jump between versions, but since 210 was actually out of support when 214 comes out, right? So
Was the Redis secret authentication added after 210? Maybe. Who knows?
Right.
This are we assessing this as potentially related to server-side diff or the Redis issue? Or potentially both?
Server-side diff. Sure, I don't know what the Redis issue is about.
It's theoretically possible that this could impact the number of requests. This is only in 3.0 because it was a huge refactor. I wouldn't anticipate this solving any issues with server-side diff. I'd be a little surprised. Basically, what this does is it just ensures that anytime we need both the cluster name and server URL, we explicitly fetch it from the cluster registry instead of fetching it once, storing it on a struct field, and then implicitly pulling that elsewhere. That really shouldn't impact either of these issues. I suppose it theoretically could.
So I see then that Redis, the Redis secret was added in 212. You're saying.
Yeah, so that could be.
Could be.
Now there was a fix. I mean, there were some issues when we first rolled that out, but fixes came out and then were patched back to 211, I think. So, no, they weren't patched back to 211, but they were fixed back in 212. So I don't know why they would be an issue, but I guess maybe they weren't covering use cases where you were moving from 210, but I don't see why that would be an issue. Yeah,
Okay,
fix
like this.
211.2.
So looks like this needs another check then, right? Another investigation.
Yeah. That's helpful enough. What I'll do is I'll reference that PR and ask them to check if it could be related to secrets, and then come back. But I think it is actually different than now that we're looking at the server-side diffing stuff, I think it is different than the patch request regression, which is a different.
One more thing I would like to add. It might be possible that it's all a red herring because there's been performance improvements in how many events can be processed. So if we're just processing more events because of like they don't get stuck, this can lead to just more operations. And that's a real thing because like I saw, it depends on the size of the cluster, for example. We need to check, for example, if it reproduces on small clusters. Because what I've noticed, like, for example, when working on performance issues, there's been like optimization, I think in 213 to like use linear algorithm instead of quadratic for like a get resource tree. There's been optimization in 214, like enabled by the flag to like batch events. And all of them, like in some cases, it's reduced in like many more events we're able to get processed because if events take slow to process from like Kubernetes Watch APIs, it would like basically like you would get more stale results on your applications, but like total number of events still would be less. So like technically load on Kubernetes would also be less, like in terms of like run apply and stuff like that. So just TLDR, let's carefully see what size of cluster is it, and is it reproduces on like small clusters in particular.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else about those two issues?
Nope, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from triage?
Nope.
Okay. If so, then let's move to the discussion part. Nitish, the ability to exclude files using Git file generator.
Yeah, hi Reggie. So actually there's this PR that lets you add that lets you exclude files when you're using the Git file generator. So this PR generally adds the exclude option, the one that you had for Git directory generator. I need some reviews for this, although I have got one LGTM tag already. Having said that, I also want to get some feedback on how should we proceed this further. The reason is because if you look at the second link that I've shared in the notes, we have a problem statement with the Git file generator, and in order to solve that problem, we had the configuration setting that eventually solves that problem. So I am thinking, so I'm just proposing that with this PR, if we're merging this PR, should we move that default of configuration setting so should we move that configuration setting to default for the upcoming release or not?
What's the configuration setting? The globbing, change to the globbing mechanism? That's a
So
break. 4.0.
So basically the configuration setting is that it enables a new globing pattern. So all you have to do is like you have to pass the enable new git file globing flag to the application set controller arguments, and then the new globing pattern is going to get enabled because then we are going to use the double star library that we are using right now in this PR already. So if we
It's
merge the current PR, the problem statement that we have is already getting solved.
it's extremely dangerous to change the default of the generator because AppSet could start return a different output and then delete a bunch of application in production for users. So I don't think we can do that. But the exclude should work with both globbing enable or not.
Yeah, it works. It works pretty well without that even.
Yeah. So
So what's the dependency on
Yeah,
the double star library?
So for the current changes, we are using the double star library for globing. But it's
Sure.
not like it's not the fact that we basically have to enable the new globing pattern or not. Because if this PR gets merged, we're eventually using the new globing pattern somehow. I mean that we're using the double star library.
Shouldn't the backends be able to handle like right now, depending on what your global config says, it picks one glob library or the other. Shouldn't you be able to use the exclude true flag with both libraries, whichever is selected?
I haven't. I have tested for the double star, but the thing is, file paths library doesn't support the double star. That is the reason I haven't been using that for the Git file generator because it doesn't support the double star globing pattern for your Git file generator.
Sure, but that should be totally independent of exclusion support. Like, you should be able to enable exclusion support and expect it to work with either library, I think.
I mean, we don't have like an exclude flag as far as I know, but um,
Um, Wait, so show me the spec. Let's look at what the feature looks like.
so this is the pull request.
Mhm.
So if you go down, so there's this function that says function fetch files. I think that's the main stuff we are doing there. If you go down, um, I think it's a function filter file, something like that. Filter, yeah. Here you go. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so let's see from the beginning.
So, yeah.
Where does the exclusion logic come in? Because a lot of this looks like refactoring.
If you go down, let me just show you. If you let me see.
Filter files. Was this
Yeah, the new function. Yeah, exactly this one, the filter files functions. Yeah.
Sure.
So if you see, we are using the double star dot match at line 271.
Also filter files.
I thought wasn't it in the repo server that had the double star logic?
I think that there's there, yeah.
So we are using it already?
We weren't using this for the files path, but I came across some old PRs as well. So there were some changes, I think, done in the repo server's code base that was using the double star, but I couldn't understand why those changes were done, maybe to enable the new globing pattern. But I think with the current changes, I tested it, I did not see any failure sort of thing. No.
So looking at line 276, that's where we're doing the toggle based on a new field in the application set spec called exclude, which is a binary. I don't see anything here that's double star specific. Like if line 271 we're using file path instead of double star, this looks to me as if it would behave precisely the same. So I think that there are two things. First, we should probably move all of this logic to wherever the existing logic is that toggles whether to use file path or double star. Sounds like it's probably on the repo server, in which case we would presumably want to send this exclude parameter on the gRPC call over to the repo server so that it can make use of it. And then two, yeah, this should be moved to, we should allow supporting both file path and double star. That makes sense?
Okay. So basically, I also looked at the Git directory generator. When I researched about the Git directory generators exclude option, I did not see like it has to do something with the repo server in that case as well, because Git directory generator exclude option is following the same pattern that we have used for the Git file generator.
Look at the recall to like in your code g.repos.get files and g.repos.get directories. I think those are the two methods being called.
But those are going to get the files, right? I mean, once you have got the files, then you just need to see if those matches your path pattern or not that you have defined. So that path pattern matching is generally done here, you know.
Sure. I mean, if that's all done on the application set after receiving the file paths, that's fine. Wherever it happens, just use the existing code, but it should support toggling between the two libraries depending on what's configured, so that it supports both file path and double star.
So
I mean,
are you saying, are you saying that we should basically see if we need to use the file path or double star depending upon the use case?
yeah, but I think more specifically, this logic should be wherever that's already happening. This feels like there's all that logic is happening, and then we have an additional function called this filter function. I'm not sure why those need to be two separate functions. Like the exclude logic should probably just sit wherever the file path / double star logic already is.
Okay. Yeah, I basically thought of this like we can have basically the one function that is going to work for both the exclude option for your Git directory and Git file generator. But the only thing that was confusing me was because when you use the file path dot match, the double star pattern is not going to be followed. So this was the reason I thought that to have a separate function for the Git file generators exclude field.
Yeah, and we should support both. Like there's some point somewhere in the code that makes a decision. Are we using the double star or the file path library? At that point, we should continue to allow it to use either one, and then we should just assert the exclude logic in that same place. Yeah, so this is happening in ls files. So this is happening on the repo server. There's a function called ls files on the repo server client that says if enable new globbing, do one thing, otherwise do the other.
So you need basically two calls now to the repo server and then do the exclusion, not based on loading.
This actually happens in the client, not in the server.
API client.
Yeah, so look at util/get/client.go, the function called ls files. That's where you'll see the toggle, and it seems to me that that's where we should handle the exclusion logic.
And when you say the exclusion logic, it should be both for the directory as well as for the file, right?
Correct. There's about 20 lines in that function, and there's a big if block. So the first if block handles double star. The second if block, it actually doesn't use file path. It uses get ls files. But either way, it produces a list of strings. Those strings are paths. If I understand the exclude logic correctly, you can post-process that data once you've produced the list based on whether exclude is true or false. So it may be inside the ls files function. It may be where I think it's probably where the ls files function is called in repository.go. But either way, use that same point there to handle both cases.
Okay. But I have this question, like before the exclude option was even set, like before the exclude option is even set for the get file, we are already having the existing logic. We haven't moved the existing logic for the get directory generator to the ls function that you're talking about. So why do we have to move it like now? Can't we just have one single function that's going to check and just let it remain in the get.go file?
Possibly. I would have to look at the excuse me, directory generator logic to see if that could be unified. It's possible that those two code paths just evolved independently, and the files generator uses repo server, the directory generator doesn't. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Either way, like we should use whatever logic currently toggles the library. If that's different logic from what the directory generator does, then maybe you look at a refactor to unify that logic. But fundamentally, the point is we should support both modes of globbing with the new exclude function or flag.
So when you say the exclude, so when you say the exclude option should be included for the get file, which library should we be using for that? Is it the file path as the default and the double star as the new globbing pattern?
Both. So I was wrong. It's not the file path library. It's get ls files. We do a run command. But it produces an output or double star produces an output. That decision is toggled by a global flag. The exclude functionality should be independent of which globbing function you're using. Either get ls files or double star. Both should work.
Okay. I'll work on this one then. Okay.
Cool. And we can talk more offline. I can send links to code. Quick extra note about that glob toggle. I was overly optimistic thinking that we could use a global flag and eventually deprecate and remove the old globbing option. We can't really do that because there's no migration path. If you enable the new globbing pattern globally, you potentially could screw up your app sets, delete apps, downtime, etc. What we really need to do is introduce a new field in the get files generator, probably called glob or something like that, to accommodate the new double star logic, allowing people to migrate by switching fields on an individual application set, or more importantly, run the new app set change preview function. So they can literally just set the flag, call the API server, get the output, make sure it doesn't screw up their app set, and then move on and switch over completely to the new field. I might open a PR for that at some point, but that's what we need to do with this double library situation.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you, Nitish. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, Andrew, standardized application-related log structured fields. Andrew, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah. But basically, both of my items are like some PRs. This is like not my PR, but like created based on like a ticket I filed. So it's just like we're standardizing which structured fields we are adding. Like yeah, basically this. So I've added some of it in like app controller in particular, like months back. But there are other places which are like not in app controller, which just start log in like in a different way. So sometimes they would put an app qualified name. Sometimes it may be like non-qualified name. And sometimes there may be like no fields like this. So like this basically makes sure that we always log same structured fields when we log something application related.
So you're saying that apart from what is in this pull request, there are other places that needs this standardization, or this one?
This PR addresses those other places.
There are many places in the code where log is fetched directly from logrus. So I'm not sure if just defining the log attributes this way will really reflect in the entire application. I suspect not. I suspect there are many gaps in the ways we use logs in Argo CD. But this is, I'm not against this. It's just,
Mm.
yeah, making it, thinking out loud, right? So I think there are many gaps in the code base.
I see. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah, we can just like cover some more gaps and maybe but acknowledge that maybe some more remain.
For me, the big win on this PR is we have a place in the documentation that says, here's how we want our logs to be. And then over time, hopefully we get closer and closer to that.
You reviewed this PR, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. And it adds logs in the app controller
No, in
entirely?
app controller I already added it like maybe half a year ago, but there's other places like state or some like basically a bunch of other files which log something
Yeah.
application related, so it like, covers at least some of those other gaps.
So it's file based. So it's looking at files and see how those particular files are.
No. It's based on application. So whenever we have Argo application, it just says, okay, we log application, which is unqualified name. We log like namespace, we log qualified name, and we log up project and structured fields. So it's like helps to see like if you wanna like for example using Datadog and like get the Argo CD logs into Datadog, you can like filter by structured fields and you can assume that hey those 4 fields would be available and they would be formatted like this. And there's like a standard how they should be formatted. So yeah, that helps with that.
But Leo, you're also saying that there are different ways in which we're using logging across the code. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably.
Yeah, I think
uh,
if this PR is checking for a specific operation like comparing diffs or yeah, different operations during the controller reconciliation logic and following in all the steps and making sure the log is configured correctly with the additional attributes, then it's fine. But there are many files that are not retrieving from a centralized logs.
Yeah.
So this seems to be assigning the log in some sort of a log context and later passed to the other operations. Different places in the code will just fetch from log Rust directly. So everything you configured
Yeah, would
as additional fields will be ignored because
Yeah,
he just fetched.
it might be. Yeah, I'm not like claiming it like solves
It's
all
not
the.
gonna be. I think it's mainly the expectations, right? It's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Something, but not perfect.
Here is much simpler than that. It's just saying in all these places where we're already logging app name and app namespace, standardize the field names. Because we use three different standards for those field names. It doesn't do any context passing, anything that thorough.
sounds like a fun task for Cursor.
Yeah.
Find me all the places where logs are being used directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, basically this, I think it's a pretty straightforward PR. It just like needs somebody from approvers to like take a look and just merge that. Um,
I'll work on this one, Andrew. I made one comment, but otherwise, just needs a rebase and looks good to me.
okay, thank you. And
Okay.
the second thing is also like a PR for Argo rollouts. No, the issue is like basically is the same thing. Yeah, like so this is PR for Argo rollouts. Basically, it extends error messages. So like the way it says like rollout aborted. Right, so current functionality is rollout aborted, and like sometimes it appends additional message because, like for example, there's been some errors. Sometimes it doesn't. So this enhances the like first part of the message. It adds just more context, saying, "Hey, for example, analysis run failed." Like a rollout aborted because analysis run failed, or a rollout aborted because blue-green deployment failed, and something like that. So hopefully that just would help to the users to like know where to look next for the reasons of rollout failure. Because if it doesn't append this like extra message, even if it appends extra message, like some metric failed, unless you know to look into analysis run, you're just a confused user. Happens a lot. Especially if like some flaky metrics are used, which like Datadog would not fix sometimes, but it's another story. But yeah, this hopefully just like adds more context about like what like domain are we in when this error message happens, and like what exactly failed, and just I think there's been a little bit of refactoring involved, but not too much. Yeah, if it can make it in 1.9, that would be great.
Yeah, I tagged it for 1.9. I just haven't got around to looking at it. I can take a look. One of the things I would I just saw it pass the screen, that true false variable. You might be able to get that from the rollout status context. I just maybe check that.
Okay, see, yeah, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Adri. Thanks, Zach. So it looks like we have nothing else in the agenda, and we're actually, yeah, we have 4 minutes.
Yeah, quick question then. What's the status of merging GitOps engine into Argo CD? Because I've been planning to like work on some like items which touch GitOps engine, but I don't want to start until it's like merged, ideally.
I started that PR. I faced some challenges. I had to stop to work on a different project. So right now it's we have some step-by-step procedure to reach to the point where I stopped. But if you have like something in GitOps engine that it's not going to take a lot of time for you to work on, I would say go for it.
Okay, it's probably not too much time, but it's more like you need to figure out what to do and how to do it. But implementation itself is gonna be like probably like relatively simple. once it's figured out. So okay, I'll then just work with existing GitOps
Is it
engine.
a bug or a new feature?
No, it's like basically one item is like changing serialization from like JSON to protobuf, and another one is like using watch APIs to fetch initial cluster state. Again,
And this is
I'm just
performance.
starting on those, so like I don't fully know what the complexity can be, but it seemed like it shouldn't be like super complex one, like at least in implementation, at least like implementation wise. But figuring out how to do it may be like a bit more tricky.
But is it based on an existing issue? Is it a
Oh,
someone is
there is,
complaining about something?
I no, I think it's kind of. So there's been like people arguing that hey, we should like shard controller by like application or something like that. But then Michael suggested that hey, we can actually get like some better wins, like just generally without changing the sharding logic. And then Reggie filed the ticket, and I was thinking of like just working on it. Yeah.
So
So
it's
that's
basically, yeah, it's going to be a performance improvements.
yeah. So this is basically so the main limitation is right now for app controllers that like it should fit on a node. If it can fit on a node, then we don't really need sharding because it's like parallelized quite heavily by like Go routines for like processing the various events. Um, and then like this performance improvements just like make sure it's like consuming less resources and can like fit on nodes for like longer time and like delays a situation where like people need to shard it.
Oh, I actually see that next week is 1st of May, and there are many people who have holidays, right? On May 1st. Are we gonna hold the meeting next week?
In US, no, but like in like say Eastern European countries, it's often yes a holiday. So I don't know. I'm fine either way.
Yeah, same. We already decided to push back the membership meeting, so that'd be fine.
I think in this case where the contributor meeting is just a place for people to ask questions, um, I think I would just keep it. The membership meeting is like the maintainer meeting is a bigger deal because it's like, hey, we have to come together and make these hard decisions. So the contributor experience meeting is more about just helping people. So if fewer Europeans show up to the meeting and don't need help, then that's probably okay, and we'll get them next week. So I think we just do it unless someone has a strong objection. It might just be me talking to myself. That'd be fine. I've got a lot to say.
All right.
Anika
Cool.
has hands
Yeah.
raised.
Hi, I promise I won't take a lot of time. I just wanted to put it out there. So I'm working on one of the proposals, which was regarding progressive sync on application set. The proposal was about allowing to specify the deletion order when we're removing applications from the application set. And so I was thinking to build off on the existing proposal, and I just wanted to like reconfirm that that's okay because the existing proposal is very well written, has detailed examples. So all I was thinking from my end was just to add the considerations which were left as TBD in the original proposal, things like security measures, upgrade, downgrades, and stuff like that, and the implementation can be done in the following PR, right? I guess the convention is not to have a lot of implementation details in the proposals.
Where's do you have the proposal link?
Yeah, do we have it into the proposal?
I don't have my proposal, but I can definitely share the proposal, which is the existing one. Just give me one quick second.
So there are two proposals in question here.
Actually, that's the question. So the existing proposal has some things which are not mentioned. And my question, I guess, could be, should I build off in the existing proposal or write a new proposal, which gives the credit to the original author, but takes care of the additions?
Yeah, I don't know about others, but it feels like there are some discussions still to be held based on this. So I would maybe suggest to add in the doc, and we discuss this next week.
Yeah.
So you provide all the links, prepare the presentation, and we discuss it in the next week's meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. And I finally found the link to the proposal as well. This is the old proposal if you still want to take a look at it later on. For now, but whichever. Oh, I think if you just scroll down on this, there's a link to the proposal which was created.
I think that actually, since we're a bit after time, maybe you can post.
Yes,
yeah, I'll put it in the document for next time. Okay, for the discussion. Then we can also read it a little before. So you're saying that there is. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's the existing proposal, and since I'm working on it, my question is if I should create a new proposal or just work with the existing one.
Because the PR is not merged. So
The PR is not merged.
I mean, we can merge the current proposal and just then you can add the diff.
Okay.
I think that would be an option. But yeah, let's discuss it
in the next meeting. Yes. Thank you so much.
Also, I think you can check with the author of that.
Yeah, I would do that. Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.